And Vectus, my kings, welcome to a new part of the Napoleon Total War DarthMod Italian State playthrough, yes. And today we are gonna be moving against Spain, declare war. I've already broken all of their alliances, there we go. We aren't really hated by anyone apart from the French and now the Spanish. So let's move in with our massive invasion force. This is gonna be a breeze to get through. The Spanish should have some armies here and there, but honestly, it's gonna be no biggie just to move in and sweep in and occupy all these settlements, something like this, so the armies can replenish. And then let's move in with these fellas. Yep, there we go. No need to worry about anything. We are just gonna quickly sweep in. There we go. There's an enemy force. Could we should probably go up against them. So let's move in like so, and then move against them. There we go. Oh, they aren't reinforcing. So let's have a bit of a battle. Why not? Here we go on the battlefield using guerrillas. So I guess the enemy has some guerrilla units. I don't know, but it'll be interesting to see. Well, anyway, we can set up our line very regularly, nothing too out of the ordinary, just like so. And I guess the artillery can be on this small little hill over here. So let's actually separate them a tiny whiny bit. And should we have two massive flanks? I don't think so. Let's just advance with the infantry a little bit faster this time, so we don't deal with any friendly fire. Let's keep the general in the wood so he doesn't die. Let's for a while turn off fire at will for the artillery, and let's move forward with our infantry here. There we go. Oh, of course it bugs out. There we go. Let's move quickly. Let's move like so. Let's move like so. And now that we are in a safe range, let's turn on fire at will and immediately turn on barrage. And let's see if we hit any of our troops, but I don't think we should. No, okay, we are safe. We are safe. Yes, we are safe. Okay, so the enemy seems to be moving forward. Again, the Spanish have cool hats, much cooler than we do. Might do a Spanish campaign at some point because I think they have a very interesting position. But it'll be very similar to the Italian campaign because again, it's a sort of a Mediterranean Empire type of game playthrough. So, as you can see, the enemy is marching forward and they're sort of merging on the left flank, and there's nothing really stopping me from just doing this. It doesn't seem like they have anything over there. So let's just do a massive flanking operation and see how it turns out. The enemy, since Spain hasn't seen a lick of battle this entire campaign, they do have some units, but they aren't really experienced at all. Their units basically have no experience. Oh, the enemy managed to take out some of my cannons. Wow. Okay, I see how it is. I see how it is. The enemy has a lot of artillery though, so they just keep marching forward. What are they going for? Bayonet charge? I guess they must be. That's the lack of experience. You have to get really up and close to really see the enemy. See the whites of the enemy's eyes before. I guess they're going for something. I don't know what they're going for. This is a bit of a strange one, Kings. This is a bit of a strange one. I'm not entirely sure what the enemy's planning, what the enemy's doing. But they're doing something. Oh, they're doing something. What is this? These are... Oh, so they do have guerrillas, actually. We just sort of accidentally ran into them. Okay, well, while we're at it, let's see them off, I guess. Let's see them off, I guess. That was, so the enemy does have guerrillas. Yeah, the Spanish do have guerrilla units, which is, I don't really know if they're that useful. Like, okay, our general, okay, so they're hammering this side with their artillery now. It's a bit of a dangerous location to be. But because they have so many artillery pieces, they're sort of lacking in infantry. So I think our little flanking maneuver over here is gonna pay off. Is gonna pay off in spades. For some reason, this sort of melee is still going on, even though we should have won it. Well, actually, their units have quite a lot of chevrons, so maybe they're actually much better than I thought they would be initially. But since the whole entire enemy force is striking my my left flank, maybe we should go for more of a hammer and anvil strategy over here. They formed a square, so they at least they stopped advancing. But yeah, I think these horses are gonna run, but I really want to get their general before that, so that the enemy just routs, basically. So we nullify him as a threat completely. What do they have? Line cavalry. You don't see that too often. Okay, so we killed their general. Very nice. Let's retreat with this cavalry unit. Okay, managed to see these guys off. Very nice. This unit is heavily battered. Might be actually prudent to just move it into the back so it doesn't sustain any more damage, and to do something like this with the general retreating, which is gonna send the unit to the back so it doesn't die, because replenishing units in this game is a mighty long trek. Actually do something like this. Oh, they're actually behind us. Very nice, very nice. The enemy actually managed to outflank us, but that was probably a retreating unit. Provincial militia was probably a retreating unit that then came back from routing. So they actually the cheeky Spanish, they actually tried to pull a quick one on me, but not gonna work. Not gonna work o'clock, as they say. Try doing something like this again with another cavalry charge. Let's see where they're actually going. Well, they routed before they got anywhere, so very sad. Very sad. I was hoping for some nice action, but looks like that's not gonna be happening. The regiment of horse keeps chasing after me, after these hussars, but I think since they're light, confident tired, shaken tired, since they're light cavalry, they should have the advantage of speed on their side, so I don't think that line cavalry will do anything to us. Again, they keep charging their cavalry, and the cavalry keeps routing. I wonder what they're up to, like what's their actual target. See, they come back from routing, then they swerve around, go for a charge, they go routing again. Not the biggest threat in the book, in the world. Our artillery keeps firing. Yeah, that's good. Want to keep them firing as long as possible, just on any target they find useful. So long as they keep hitting the enemy, that's all that matters. And here we go, the line cavalry actually caught up to my hussars, but I don't think they're gonna be any sort of threat. They seem to be very low morale. The general's dead, attacked in the rear. Yeah, we should see them off, but they're actually going for a charge. Okay, let's form squares then. And what else do the Spanish have left anyway? Their artillery seems to be routing. Very good. Let's actually, since this is just a regular field battle, let's actually run those guys down, because they won't be destroyed like in a siege battle. Just automatically wiped out. They won't be, so let's actually march forward our guys. Anything interesting? No. Provincial militia again came back from routing. Let's completely envelop these fools. They still have some artillery. So let's just do a bayonet charge into them. And that should take care of everything. And if anyone comes back from routing, it doesn't seem like it. Nope, it's a victory. Alright, so we lost 804 and killed almost 3k. Very good battle, very nice battle. This army very heavily damaged. They won't be a threat to us at all. Let's just march forward like so. We even got a little bit of a cross swords symbol over there to signify that there was an epic battle taking place. And the next stop, since we captured Navarra, Catalonia, next stop I think is Madrid, yeah. But first of all, let's march forward with this army. Very nice. And this army, I think it can just go back to Gibraltar and recuperate. This army's probably go for... Oh, Portugal's been actually taken out by Spain. Very interesting. So we have revenge for Portugal. We're taking vengeance for Portugal. Totally, this is a justified war. Yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Let's march with these armies over there, like so. And let's enter and let's see what the Spanish actually figure out. Let's see if they send any more armies against us, or if this is gonna be just a bit of a breeze. It seems like if you take a look at the minimap that the French and the Russians are doing some major, are duking out in a major way. The Russians have finally got a chance to do something this campaign. The French have come so close to their borders that the Russians are forced to wage war against them. So it seems like the French and the Russians are now beating the snot out of each other, which I mean, that's fine for me. It doesn't really matter. So you have a navy here. Let's go up against the Spanish navy. Auto resolve. Don't feel like fighting a naval battle. And I think we actually lost quite a few. We lost quite a few ships in that little engagement. So let's get a frigate at least to recuperate. Let's see, this army can go like so, this army can go like so, this army has a general and it's full stacked, so it can march forward. Oh, there we go, there's an enemy army. Let's see, we should probably move this spy. Let's move into Dresden actually, let's see what's going on over there. Actually, let's move him all the way over here, so that we have a spy eventually there to maybe infiltrate the enemy. Can we? No, we can't. But we can always just send some reinforcements. Move this guy to Pamplona. And these fellas, they're still recuperating their forces. These guys are almost full stacked, but I think if we leave... if we let them just recuperate a little bit more, something like this, send these guys back over here and then send 2 fresh units here. Yep, there we go. There we go. So we have 3 armies bearing down on Madrid. That should do the trick. We should own Madrid in the next turn. Nothing really to do in these turns really. It's towards the end game. So the enemy doesn't really have a lot of fight left in him. You can just upgrade some buildings. I suppose you're making enough cash to do that, to justify that. Research, we're basically almost done. All that's left is like passports, which for some reason takes absurdly long and doesn't really do all that much. National propaganda is pretty good, except for the diplomatic relation penalty that it gives. Really, Napoleon Total War, if you get going on the right foot, can be a very simple game, a very short game compared to Empire. At this point, we're basically unassailable. Again, we have so many armies and everything like that. Now, that's obviously because I'm not playing on the hardest difficulty, I'll grant you that. But if we were to play as, for example, France, this would be a much easier affair even than it is right now. Would have been over far faster. Let's actually recruit some merchantmen navy. Always good to have. Russian Empire. This is the one thing about Napoleon and Empire that and even Shogun too. It promotes this sort of like small units dancing around, disrupting your empire's economy basically completely. And it can be a little bit annoying, to be fair, but hey, what can you do? The games are pretty decent apart from that. Well, they do have their flaws, but apart from these minor issues, they're actually pretty good. Obviously, they could be better. I'm very much hoping for some sort of Napoleon 2 or Empire 2 situation, or even a Shogun Fall of the Samurai 2. That would be, or Shogun Fall of the Samurai 3, Shogun 3, something like that, where we actually return to this sort of line combat, because it's been a while, you know, it's been well over 10 years at this point. Since we've seen anything like this, the creative assembly pull out. But there we go. Let's move on. Let's actually advance with a lot more, quite a few more units than we would even need to just overwhelm them, auto resolve it. They still have an army here. Let's see, could we actually... We could move this army like so. We could probably take them out. Yeah, we could. We did sustain some losses, but it's no biggie. Very easily replenishable. It's very easily replenishable. These are... See, they retreated all the way over there. I have no movement left. What the hell is this? Oh, they actually have some extra armies lying around. Very nice. But let's send this army over there, over to Portugal. And let's wipe out the Spanish. The Spanish have actually quite a few armies here. Wow, okay, I see how it is. I see how it is. But let's actually try to get these units like so. And then let's get some extra units into this army. Excuse me, kings. This is the winter. You know how it is. Your throat gets dry. What do we have? A line battle range. Exploring officer. Okay, very exploring. You're just moving along the road, mate. Nothing to explore over here. Let's move these guys back so they replenish. And this army is going to be good to go in just a moment. A couple of turns. And let's see about repairing these dam. Actually, we don't need an ordnance factory here at all. Not that one, this one. Don't need anything really. There's a lot of Spanish armies around. Again, they had nothing to do all game, so all they did was just recruit armies and take out Portugal. That's all that the Spanish did this campaign. That's all that they did. Could we move up against this little fleet over here? Ooh, again, what are they doing? It's a little bugged, but okay. Okay, I guess they're doing nothing. That's what they're doing. But yeah, Spain captured. We got 30k in the bank. Let's try again getting Rumelia off of the Russians. Try it once more just to make sure, because I really don't feel like fighting the Russians as well. Give them a bunch of technologies. Military alliance, no, come on. It's annoying. We're gonna have to fight the Russians and the French again, and even the Austrians and the British. Blech. Well, anyway, let's enter and let's see where this is going. Here we go, the Battle of Lisbon. Let's throw down a cheeky save. Try auto-resolving. Okay, didn't work. Never mind, didn't work. So let's actually go and fight this battle. Alright, here we are on the battlefield. It's looking like a desert for some reason, but This is Lisbon, the grand city of Lisbon, just a couple of houses. Yeah, the sieges in Empire and Napoleon are a massive disappointment. They're basically just land battles with some buildings trotted around about. It's really not the best. It's really not the best. But do I set up artillery over here? It might actually be a pretty good idea to set them up over here. In that case, the line infantry can move like so. Oh yeah, let's actually set them up on this flank. It might be a bit better. Let's set up like this, our infantry. And let's set up our artillery over up on this mountain like so. And the cavalry, one of our cavalry units is a general in him, so let's actually not use that one too much. But yeah, we're gonna set up like so on the flank to make the Spanish have to move around, but kind of confused. Infantry garrison, line infantry. Again, the line infantries have such cool hats. I don't know what's wrong with our units that they don't have those sort of retro, almost a tricone but not quite hats. Let's do something like this. Again, have infantry artillery or foot artillery, so they're not moving so fast. But okay, the enemy artillery is already engaging, but they have to shoot through all these buildings. So I would imagine that their artillery range isn't, or not range, but their accuracy is not going to be the best, since they have to shoot through all these buildings. Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a rough ride for them, but we'll see how things go. And I think we're just about ready to unlimber this artillery and start firing upon the enemy. Yep. And here we are. We finally made it to the enemy line. Quite a long trek, to be honest, but we have a very thick line that's going to be here approaching, and the enemy artillery is finally able to shoot at us since we flanked all the way from over there this way. They had a bit of a miserable time trying to reach us, but our own artillery is in range, so they technically should be firing against these the enemy units. But we'll see how things go. Infantry of the Marina, so these are Marines. They have even fancier hats than we do. Very, very sad that our hats aren't as fancy as the Spanish or the Italian hats. At least they're, they're cooler than the French hats, I suppose, kind of. But man, this map really doesn't look like Lisbon. Lisbon, generally still a very European looking area. Well, this is like basically almost Africa, at least the general, the what would you call it, the skybox. It looks it looks a little weird, but not gonna argue with it. Not gonna argue with it at all. Here we are, very thick line, so we're able to... The enemy actually doing some friendly fire, although I think the AI can't actually friendly fire itself. All it can do is sort of knock themselves down a little bit, but it can't friendly fire actually. The enemy's complete disarray. I'm not entirely sure if they know what they're doing. Here we go, they're actually flanking me, so they know what they're doing. Never mind, I spoke too soon. But the main line is in complete disarray. Obviously the AI can't handle the fact that we flanked around them. They haven't really moved their line at all to compensate. Our men are running. Oh well, what can you do? We'll just have to readjust the line or they came back from routing anyway. They come back from routing. Again, 5 minutes, or not even minutes, 5 seconds later they're routing again. It is Napoleon Total War after all. But we still have this cavalry unit here, so we should probably do something with it. Because we are in such a thick line, the enemy tries to form up in like 3 ranks or very small ranks. short or tight ranks, whatever you want to call it, and they keep just sort of failing. They aren't really made for this type of combat. The AI isn't really sure what it's doing. Totally. Okay, this is a brutal battle that we've got over here. The enemy artillery is in such a position that they keep hammering my lines, and we've lost hundreds of units. This is a very hard fought battle over here. I didn't set up my my artillery really in the best position considering the battle plan. Maybe I should have gone, but it's a siege battle. You can't really. It would have just hit the buildings, bounced all over the place. It wouldn't have been all that great anyway. So the enemy really is putting up a stiff fight over here. You can see that it's their last settlement. This is their last the last holdout that the Spanish have. It's a brutal battle indeed. But I think we're actually managing to win this one. It's a bit of a tough one, but we are managing to pull this off. And soon we'll be eating, I don't know, pupasas in Lisbon or something. I don't know what sort of the equivalent of eating sausages in Berlin would be for the Portuguese or the Spanish or whatever. But this unit came back, very nice. It'd be useful if the sort of announcer or the advisor actually said, you know, our units came back from routing. It'd be very useful if he did that, but never mind, I guess. These dragoons, these cavalry guards are insane. They've taken out now like 2 or 3 units of mine, so they're finally routing. Finally, these guys are down to 30 men from basically 360. This is a brutal battle, one of the hardest we've fought. Not against Napoleon, not against the French, not against the it's against Spain. But we have such an overwhelming number of units in Spain that I think even if we lost this battle, it wouldn't have really mattered that much. But we'll win this fight. Their generals, that all they have left is just a couple of stragglers. This battle is ours. The day is ours. But at what cost, man? At what cost? This was a brutal one. This really was a brutal one. Yeah. This was a hard-fought battle. You don't really get those many of those in Empire Napoleon. Well, actually, in Napoleon you do. In Empire you don't really. In Empire the AI is so lost in the sauce that you tend to just win by doing very little. But in Napoleon you do sometimes get battles like these where the odds are very even, and it's actually a bit of a slog to get through. But again, we just surrounded the enemy and we dealt with them one by one. Again, these guys came back from routing. You would assume that these people, these units would just retreat, but no, they keep on fighting even though the day is lost. They're so dedicated to the Spanish Empire, the Spanish Imperial project, that they just come back from routing constantly. Being annoying like that, but it is a victory finally. And see, there we go, we lost 2,100, definitely the most amount of losses that we had so far. Peacefully occupied, the Spanish are gone, all of their armies are gone. And yeah, this was a brutal fight, definitely. This was definitely a brutal fight. But there we go, the Spanish have been defeated. And I think that's it for today, guys, kings. So yeah, well, anyway, next time I think we'll go against the French yet again, or maybe we'll go against the British this time. And we'll see what we do about them. So yeah, well, thanks, kings, for watching, and I'll see you next time.